What's up, guys? Welcome back to Miami Dolphins Syndicate. I'm your co-host, Donovan Quick. It is Wednesday. So yeah, today we're going to be going over the season review, kind of just what happened at the beginning of the season, throughout the season, and kind of where we are now. So, as most of you know, coming into this season, it's kind of just, we had expectations, right? We came off a 10 and 8 year? No, 10 and 7 year, then a 9 and 8 year, a 10 and 6. Was it 10? I forget. We had 17 games back then. But we had a 10 win season, a 9 win season. We were expecting probably somewhere around like 9 or 10 wins this year. New head coach. We expected the offense to do a little bit better. We expected the defense to kind of remain the same, bring back literally everybody on that defense besides McCourty. We turned out to be missing him a little bit. But literally everybody on that defense besides McCourty returned. And then we added Melvin Ingram. And then we added Bradley Chubb in the middle of the season. So kind of going through, in preseason, we were seeing Tua was making these throws. His arm looks a lot better than it did the year before. His movement looks a lot better than it did the year before. Shout out to Nick Hicks for getting our boy Tua right. But then we're going in and we're having that Byron is supposed to be coming back by week 1, and Trill Will is looking like really the next CB2, if Byron can't go. Igbo was looking somewhat struggling in the offseason. Like, he had his ups and downs. But then Nick Needham was looking fantastic, like better than he ever had. Tyreek Hill was showing out. Waddle was showing out. The whole offense was showing out. We brought back Gesicki. We were expecting almost what we pretty much got in the Baltimore game. So, week 1 rolls around, and we did sign Jerron Armstead. We signed Connor Williams. Everybody was kind of questioning why Connor Williams is playing center. Per PFF, he was one of the best centers in the league. But passing the eye test, we can clearly see the man, he has trouble snapping the ball, which is like 90% of your job. More like 50% of your job, but you get my point. And it was high snap after high snap after high snap, and it's been that way throughout the entire season. Going to week 1, we have free rusher after free rusher after free rusher at Tua. Tua stands in there. He delivers. The timing, the anticipation on point. Tua played great that game. You go into the Baltimore game week 2. Now, a lot of people were saying that he played like complete garbage in the first half. I saw a team that had a couple of mistakes, but other than that, they were moving the ball almost without hesitation throughout that entire game. So, meanwhile, we were down. I never really ruled us out that game. And yeah, I know we could sit here 12 weeks or 16 weeks later and be like, oh yeah, I called that. I didn't call it, but I wasn't really, head in the sand. We saw the big plays. We saw Tua hit Tyreek in stride. Going to the week 3 game against Buffalo. This is our Super Bowl. I know it's a joke and whatever, blah, 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 blah. This was a test to see if this team can compete throughout the season. We just beat New England, made the playoffs last year. We just beat Baltimore. Did they make the playoffs? I think they just missed out on the playoffs last year because of Lamar's injury. But they had Lamar. Lamar was looking like an MVP that game. So we were able to overcome that. And then we go into this week 3 game, and this is a 2-0 Buffalo team that was dominant the first 2 weeks. And we beat them in a low-scoring matchup, 21-19. We got them by 2 points. Going to week 4, and the concussion happens. to his first concussion, people were debating whether his career would be over at that point. And he wasn't playing necessarily well in the beginning of that game. But you can tell that when the lights shined bright, that Tua was trying to do too much. That's what got him hurt. Now, you can, I'm not sure if you really listen to our other videos or not, but if you go in any other video where me and Jacob talk about Tua, I'm always talking about how Tua needs to learn how to protect himself better. If he can protect himself better, he can be Drew Brees. He can be, I don't want to say Peyton Manning, but he can be on the level of the elite guys that aren't mobile, right? Drew Brees wasn't mobile. He didn't have the biggest arm, but he was extremely accurate. He was extremely smart, and he protected himself for most of his career. He did have that shoulder injury, but he came back from that. Tua needs to learn how to protect himself. He tried extending that play too long, and then when he had the rusher in his face, he tried to break a tackle from a 350-pound lineman. You're not going to break that tackle, Tua. You're 200 pounds. You're 6'1", 200 pounds. You're not going to break that tackle. So when he, has that little bit of resistance, he gets thrown down. Gets a concussion. Pretty much sucked the soul out of every Dolphins fan. But then Teddy Bridgewater came in, and we were competitive. We never stopped fighting in that game. Now, then it got a little out of hand at the end when, they tried doing too much with the backup quarterback. Now, you think Teddy, he's the veteran, he's savvy, he won with New Orleans. It is what it is. It didn't work out in our favor. But we're thinking, we have the trash Jets next week, and then we have the fraud Vikings the week after that. We're fine. We're fine. We started out 3-0, now we're 3-1. We're fine. First series, Teddy goes down with that new concussion rule and doesn't return. Skyler comes in. He didn't have any reps with the ones the entire week. It was all Teddy because you want to prepare your backup who hasn't practiced with the ones all season long. You want to make sure that he has all the reps possible. You don't anticipate him going down the first series. Then we go on to lose that game. A very tight game throughout. We had the chance to take the lead in that game with like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter with Skylar Thompson. And then after that, it was just interception, turnover on downs. And then that's what made the score really inflate. It really wasn't as bad as the score really showed. It's just the story of it. And so to actually put it in perspective, the Bills game, this one, the playoff game, was the first game that Teron Armstead played a full game without Tua. So he finished the Bengals game, which was great, but then the Jets game, he exited in the second series and didn't return. He didn't play in the Minnesota game, which saw Skyler start that game. Skyler was doing really well, impressed me, and then he got injured, and then Teddy had to come in, and then we saw that. So Teddy, coming off of a week where he barely practiced at all because of the concussion rules, then had to come in and try to take over the team and lead the way against the Vikings. And that was a very close game until the very end. So in all of our games, all 18 games, weeks 1 through 17 and the playoff game, we had a one-score game in the fourth quarter of every game that we lost. It was one score. We had a chance to take the lead in the Jets game. We had a chance to take the lead in the Bengals game. We had a chance to take the lead in the Vikings game. I put that out of order. Forget about it. So then we finally get Tua back. We just went 3-0, 0-3. Go on this massive run. I mean, perfect timing for Tua to come back, right? Throttled the Texans. Jeez. The Texans throttled them. Chicago, throttled. Detroit, throttled. I don't even know who else we played in that little stretch. I mean, none of it was, really. It was the cupcake part of our schedule. So then we're all hyped up. Yeah, we're feeling ourselves, right? We're feeling ourselves. We're about to go in. By the way, that since that Detroit game, the Lions only lost 2 games after that. Just saying. For those of you that said that the Lions were a bad team, just saying. Fast forward. We're going in to the 49ers game. It's the first part of what was a brutal rest of our schedule. First play from scrimmage, we have a beautiful 75-yard touchdown. Beautiful. From there, it was downhill. Tua missed some throws. We had some drops. Officiating was bad on both sides, so I'm not going to blame officiating. And then the next game, it was kind of a different scenario, right? So Brandon Staley dialed up a almost perfect defense against us. We couldn't run the ball. They're like, they can't run the ball, so we're not even going to bother trying to stop the run. So instead, they ran a similar defense, but they ran a cover 2, but their linebackers were DBs. So they played press man with cover 2, and they had their linebackers were DBs, which are a lot more fast and can tackle pretty much just as good. And so they double covered almost everybody out on the field, and Tua was throwing dots that game. And I mean, I defended Tua for this game. I initially thought, man, this was such a bad game. I rewatched that game like 3 times. Tua was throwing dots. Just the passes weren't getting completed. The Chargers were playing so aggressive that they were there early. But the thing is that it wasn't being called. So they really just dialed up the perfect defense in a perfect scenario for them. There's nothing that we can really do about it. It's just is what it is. Our defense couldn't stop their offense. That's what it came down to. Flip it over again. Now we have the Bills. Arguably the toughest of the 3, right? I still say the Chargers at the time were the best team in football. With Nick Bosa, they're the best team in football. Then you flip it over to the Bills game. I literally, in our preview, said, I just want it to be close. I want us to hang. I lost all faith at that point. We were 8-5. I lost faith. I'm like, McDaniel isn't making the adjustments. We don't have a run game. We're doomed. We finally established the run. Our run game coordinator, head coach, finally established the run, finally got it going in that Bills game. And we could have won. We should have won. The defense gave up a 7-minute drive for them to go down, kick the game-winning field goal. If they just gave us an opportunity to get the ball back. They at that point in the game, they hadn't stopped our offense. They just... We didn't stall. We just didn't get the ball. Flip it over again. At Green Bay game. Green Bay, at this point, had a little bit of a streak going on, but no one really made anything of it. Everybody's writing off Green Bay still. Tua played a perfect first half. Couldn't ask for a better perfect first half. Couldn't ask for a better first half from almost any quarterback in the NFL. Almost. And then, it's the Conky again. It's the story of Tua. Now, it's not necessarily concussions, but it's injuries. And it's how can he protect himself. And now this one is a little bit different than the first concussion, where he tried to do too much and got a concussion. He rolled out of the pocket, made a simple shovel pass forward, and he should have fell forward or to his side. But the defender flipped him around and he fell on his back, then hit his head. That now caused him to miss the remaining, what was it, 3 games? So at that point now we're dropped 4 straight. And we go to New England. We have the lead. Teddy Bridgewater throws a pick 6 and gets injured on that pick 6. Now you have Skylar Thompson come in. Skylar Thompson didn't protect the ball. It's just the story of the season was good play, shoot yourself in the foot. And whether it was shoot yourself in the foot with penalties, this team was undisciplined throughout this entire season. Now, they did get better. They only had 5 penalties for 25 yards in the playoff game. Now everybody's like that 5 penalties, that's a lot. It is a lot. But considering we had at one point against New England, I think we had 12 penalties for over 100 yards. That's a lot. That is you're not gonna be able to win games like that. And we didn't. We lost to New England. Now we go into a must win against the Jets. At this point, we lost our ability to control our own destiny. We needed the Bills' help. We needed the Bills to throttle New England. They did that. They did their job. We did our job. We got in. It wasn't a pretty game. By all means, it was not a pretty game. Now, going into the playoff game, we're anticipating Tua coming back. Hey, he missed 2 games. NFL, they're gonna allow this. They're gonna allow him to come back. They're gonna allow him to clear concussion protocol. They don't. We go into this game and no one on earth is expecting us to even be within 2 scores. We had the damn lead in this game. And we could have won. We really could have. If it wasn't for the delay of games, if it wasn't for that, who knows what this game could have been. But if you look at it from the beginning of the season, if you told me at the beginning of the season that we lose a playoff game by 3 points in the last 2 minutes after making it with 9 wins, I would have told you I was fine with that. I would have told you I'm happy with that. As a Dolphins fan, you want progress. We had progress. We didn't get our double-digit wins like we wanted. We didn't get the division like we wanted. We didn't anticipate the division. There was some people that were calling for the entire AFC West to make the playoffs, and the Dolphins miss it. So to get into these playoffs, with all these tough teams that were fighting for it, I mean, even the Patriots, it is what it is with them, but, they are a great defensive team. The Jets were fighting until the 2 weeks before the season ended. They had a chance. They had a quarterback. Who knows? We had a quarterback. Who knows? That's not knock on Tua. It's more knock on, concussions. But yeah, I mean, the AFC is not getting any easier. The average age of the 4 remaining QBs in the playoffs on the AFC side, or actually in total, is 25 years old. The oldest quarterback is indeed Dak Prescott at 29. The oldest after that is Patrick Mahomes at 27. Skylar Thompson started, he's 25. Tua's 24. We have a bright future, competitive future with these quarterbacks going into these playoffs. All of them are young. All of them are raw. And that's another thing that people are forgetting. Young quarterbacks are raw. Very rarely do they protect the ball. Josh Allen did not protect the ball. We took advantage of that. This was one of the only games that we had multiple takeovers. It was one of the only games we had takeovers, period. Turnovers. Takeovers. Jesus Christ. Turnovers. One of the only games we had turnovers in. And we had multiple of them. And that helped us. We had 17 points off turnovers. Actually, 24 points off turnovers. We had 24 points. Actually, again, I was right the first time, 17. Because 21. We had 3 touchdowns off turnovers. I was right the first time. 17 points off turnovers. And that's one thing that was the difference between last year's defense and this year's defense was turnovers. But another thing that is different from last year's defense to this year's defense was health. Last year, ending the season, we had X, we had Byron, we had Nick Needham, we had whoever we wanted in the 4th, 5th, 6th string, who cares? We had Brandon Jones, we had Javon Holland, we had McCourty, we had Rowe, we had all of them. We had Ogbo, we had Van Ginkel, we had all of those guys there too. We had we were healthy on defense last year. And we weren't this year. And it may have cost us. We weren't healthy on offense either. We have not been healthy on offense for years now. Since 2016, really, which is the last time before this year that we made the playoffs, was the last time we were truly healthy on offense. Because the year after that, we all know Tannehill, no ACL. The year after that, Tannehill missed games with a shoulder injury. The year after that, we had the tank season where we had Josh Rosen, we had Ryan Fitzpatrick back and forth. The year after that, Tua's first year, missed some games with a finger injury. The year after that was last year. Tua's injury, ribs, and then finger again. Then to this year, 2 concussions with Tua. We haven't had a healthy quarterback season or healthy offensive line. And hopefully our luck can change next year. And we'll be going over some of the ways that we may think that we can solve our issues of the inability to stay healthy, maybe some certain drills, some new strength and conditioning coaches. But yeah, some of it's just kind of like freak accidents is what it is. But all right, so looking forward to next year though, guys. I have confidence in this team. I do hope that going forward, hopefully we get a new defensive coordinator. Boyer gave me a little bit of hope going into next season, but I prefer maybe a new system be implemented with a slightly more experienced play caller would be ideal. That way we have stability on offense and defense, so that we're not really worried that we're going to lose to a head coach position in a couple of years. That's ideal, Someone like Vic Fangio, someone like Jim Schwartz who got taken off the board. So, like those guys who aren't really going to be head coaches in the near future. So, that's my thoughts. Let me know how you guys felt this season went overall. I know I kind of rambled a little bit there. But love you guys. Stay safe. Don't forget, like, subscribe, ring the bell so you can get notifications when we go live, when we post videos, and when we have everything else. Thank you guys. Stay blessed.